Here we have Ethereum versus the Bitcoin pairing. We'll also look at Ethereum versus the dollar pairing as well. And in this case, it does appear that it is putting in, a pretty major top right now. I do think that there was hopium coming into early May, not May, but early April. But this sort of structure right here is starting to look, at minimum toppy. And I'm sure that the head and shoulders people are going to be saying that this is a head and shoulders formation. And, there is some validity to that. I wouldn't necessarily judge targets off of it, but yes, I would be looking for this one. And most alts versus Bitcoin pairings, to be quite frank with you, to trade to the downside over the summer. Doesn't necessarily mean that they'll go to the downside versus US dollar pairing. That's a different situation, but versus their Bitcoin pairing, very likely, I do suspect. So in this case, I would be looking at a macro range low here at about 6, not 0.06. I think that's 6 million Satoshis. Below there, things get really, really nasty, and I would be looking for moves somewhere down around this breakout over here, which is about just under 5 million Satoshis, about 4.8 to 5 million Satoshis. Until then, long term, if you are in the macro here, I mean, this is still long-term macro okay. The problem is that you can still be okay and easily come down to here and pop back up. Or if you really want to get nasty, is you pop back up, get another lower high, and then come all the way back down to the macro range lows and reaccumulate there. Definitely possible as well. But I do think that the highs are in for the long term on this one for a long time here. And you're going to see a lot of, ebbs and flows in it, of course. But generally speaking, I do think that this one is going to be working its way sideways and down. Quarterly, same thing. I think it's a little more obvious on the quarterly, in fact. If we bring up indicator, it's actually not going to be able to do much with that because it's a little bit too new. But monthly is the one that's, I think, the most obvious here, because we do see that the monthly RSI is starting to get kicked out of the bullish control zone, which it's a good signal that, it's a good signal that we're probably going to be trading at least to the neutral zone there. Other than that, we can go check out stochastic momentum and, whoops, let's put a UST in there as well and just see if that's kind of turning the same direction. And yeah, I think the monthly on stochastic momentum is quite telling right here. Very, 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 very likely to trade to the downside, I suspect, in the next few months over summer. Other than that, let me just double check that okay, you asked about a weekly as well. Weekly also rejecting the bullish control zone and coming down hard below 7.3.5 million essentially. Yeah, man, I'm looking for this one to come down over the next few months. The question is how far down. Anyways, we can also look at Ethereum versus the dollar over here, and let's see where this one's going. Also looks like it has some downside, but let's make a new chart for what we're looking at right here. In the short term, if you're on a daily, again, just like Bitcoin can very easily play out a short-term upside move. Your range highs on the daily right here are basically 2170 or so. Any sort of a daily, especially closure above there, maybe even a wick above there. And I would be looking for the next leg up, somewhere around 2350 to 2450 in this pocket right here. And you'd probably see Bitcoin maybe somewhere around about 35,000 bucks if that were to happen, especially above 32.5, and that would kind of be my conditions for, that breakout. Still long term though, similar to Bitcoin, I don't think that the lows are necessarily in here just yet. Long term, I do think that this one will very likely at least retest somewhere around these lows, or maybe make slightly new lows. But the question is, when does that happen, and do we get a rally first? I do think that it's more likely to rally first. But here's the thing, and here's kind of the sombering detail of this whole damn asset, is the fact that, as long as you're below, especially the 618, which is way fucking up there, even the 0.5 at 2880 long term, I do suspect that there is, major risk lower. So, yeah, not great there. Maybe we go down to the short term time frame, see what's up. Short term time frames, 4 hour. Not really getting too much from this. I mean, technically, I should be looking for lower highs right around 2050, but it does kind of look like it wants to bust on through. So let's see what stochastic momentum says. And see if that kind of aligns with anything that we're looking at. Well, weekly is definitely down below 2737, so that's difficult. 5 day down below about 2450. Monthly nose diving below 4250. Daily is actually up above 1862. So, short term, if I had to make something out of this, probably does try a bit of upside, similar to Bitcoin. But I'd be cautious at these areas that we've kind of highlighted here. 2150 to 2170. Above there, I'd probably be looking for a nice rally to occur in this little pocket right here. And then, very likely pullbacks from there if it's going to happen at all. And to the downside, I'd express great concern below basically the 20th of May low, similar to Bitcoin, below about 28.5 or so. Below there, very likely to make new lows. But it does look, a little bit more likely to rally first in the short term at least. And then if it's going to roll over, probably like later this summer. So who knows how high it gets first, but I still express major concern over the macro here. So hopefully that was helpful. Oh, and now that I recognize it, we do have a slight amount of bullish evidence come off the lows right here. Problem is, we also are building hidden bearish evidence on the other side. So fair enough, man, fair enough. Hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Ethereum.